In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at and doing a tasting and review of a value brand right here on the Tequila Hombre, coming up next. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Tequila Hombre, where today we're going to be taking a look at a value brand. And so what do you mean by a value brand, you're probably wondering? Well, it's not necessarily a budget brand where it's inexpensive and anybody can afford it type of thing. But instead, it's a value brand in that it's a little more expensive than a budget brand, but you get a lot more bang for your buck when it comes to enjoying the flavor profile and the quality of this tequila. The brand that we're talking about has also been reinvented, new production techniques and things that we're going to discuss here in this video. And the brand we're talking about is Don Abraham. So I have the Blanco, I have the Repo, the Añejo, the Extra Añejo, and the 110 Blanco to review for you. So let's not waste any more time. Let's give you a little background history about this brand. Okay, so the brand Don Abraham's been around for a while, but they've recently worked on improving it, and they have a new distillery. We're going to go over the new production techniques and stuff. But let's talk a little bit about the brand. It's the master tequilero behind Don Abraham is a gentleman named Alvaro Montes. I'll put a picture of Alvaro here on the screen. He is a master agavero. He is really big and growing organic agave and growing the best agave possible. He's so obsessed that he wakes up every morning, has his cup of coffee, and goes out into the agave field and hand weeds the agave field with his crew. And they make sure when they do pick the weeds and the stuff growing around the agave, because they don't want anything taking nutrients away from the agave. So they hand pick all the weeds and grasses and stuff around it, and they leave it on the soil so it decomposes, and the minerals and stuff that the plant weed used in growing goes back into the soil. He uses all kinds of organic fertilizers and organic composting to feed his agave so they grow really big, rich, and full of wonderful sugars that we need for producing tequila. Now, the brand Don Abraham was actually named after his son, Abraham. I'll put a picture of myself with Abraham and Alvaro here. Abraham has been working at the distillery and out in the field since he was young, very young, and has grown passionate about tequila. And now he's kind of taken over the production and overseeing of the brand, and he's been working really hard in making a better product than what they had before and really improving it and coming up with some really great programs for the brand as well that I will tell you about towards the end of this video. Now, because of Abraham's commitment to really growing the brand and working on producing a better quality tequila and wanting to do it right, Alvaro has built a brand new distillery for the Don Abraham brand. The distillery is called La Roca, or The Rock. Now, I was thrilled to be one of the first invited to the distillery to photograph and video the distillery in its processes, to talk to you and let you know about how Don Abraham's produced. So let's not waste any more time. Let's head out to La Roca and check out how Don Abraham's produced. Here we are at Amatitan, Mexico, right outside Guadalajara at the La Roca distillery. Here's the path the trucks take to unload the truckloads of agave. The agave then prepped properly by removing the cojollo. And these gentlemen here then load the agave onto a conveyor belt where a gentleman inside stacks the agave inside the brick orno. Now, this brick orno was specially designed by Alvaro, where he put a stainless steel bottom on it so you don't get the residuals that are left in many brick ornos, which make it more tougher to clean. Instead, the stainless steel bottom is easier to clean, so it doesn't impart any residual flavors from one load to the other. And once the agave are finished cooking, they'll open up this door on the other side of the orno, and they will place the agave on this conveyor belt, which will take it to another conveyor belt, which you'll see here in front. The agave will drop onto this conveyor belt and then are brought up to a shredder. The cooked agave then fall into the shredder, and these blades will then shred the agave into fibers. The fibers then come out of the front of the shredder and then travel on a conveyor belt through the roller mill. This roller mill is a 4-pass roller mill. Each time it hits one of the rollers, it's doused with fresh mineral water, fresh well water, mineral-rich well water. and then squeeze to get those beautiful sugars out of the agave fibers. They had just finished doing a run here, so we weren't able to see it in action, but they are in the process of cleaning it at the time when I was filming this. So each of these, they get hit with more fresh, deep well water and then squeezed to get the beautiful sugars out of the agave fibers to later go into fermentation. Once they finish the last pass, they then go up to a conveyor belt that is then dumped into a truck, and they're head off for composting to turn into fertilizer. After extractions happen, the mosto is then pumped into their fermentation area, where they have 12 fermentation tanks that are set to start fermentation. The stainless steel fermentation tanks are open to allow outside elements such as olive trees, mango trees, and other trees that they planted around the distillery to impart some flavors on the beautiful tequila that comes out of this distillery. They do use wild yeast for fermentation, and as well as pitch some yeast that they make themselves, they grow themselves to allow for the best flavor profile possible out of this distillery. After fermentation is complete, it then is pumped into the distillation area, where it is twice distilled. First time using stainless steel pot stills, where the dead mosto, the fermented mosto, is turned into what's called ordinario. And then after it is done with the first pass in these stainless steel stills, it is then finished and turned into tequila using this really beautiful copper still that was custom designed for the La Roca distillery here in Amatitan. After distillation, it is then bottled at 40% ABV for the Blanco, or at 55%, 110 proof for the high proof Blanco, or it is barreled at 55% ABV for their aged expressions. Well, there you go. There's the production techniques used to make Don Abraham tequila now, these days. And I'm pleased to announce also that I will have Alvaro and Abraham on an interview live stream coming up here soon. So make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you get notified when they're going to be here, so you can come on and ask questions and learn more about this amazing agavero and his family and their tequila production techniques. Well, let's not waste any more time though. Let's get into the tasting portion and see what these tequilas are all about. All right, so that's how the tequila is produced. Now let's get into the tasting portion. Of course, we're going to start with the Blanco. I've had reviewed Don Abraham before, and I tried the old version, and I liked it. I thought it was really good. But let's see what the new version is all about, using the new distillery and stuff. So let's dive into this and see what we get. So looking at it in the glass, I got my Blanco poured here now. We're going to do the 40% Blanco first. Looking at it in the glass, it coats the glass beautifully. Look at the legs and tears coming down. The legs or tears, whatever you want to call them. Coming down the side of the glass. It's kind of a nice viscous mouthfeel to it. Looking at the tequila itself, it is crystal clear. Looks beautiful. And of course, we taste with our eyes, our nose, and our mouth. So we're going to go visit with our nose and see what kind of notes we get on the aroma on this. Wow. Nice. So it's got a typical like Valle tequila nose, in that you get a hint of the sweet cinnamon cooked agave note, but then you get this really nice kind of herbal nose to it with a grassiness in there. By herbal, it's almost like like fresh basil kind of like a nose to it. It also has hint of mint coming through. It was interesting because I'm picking up like a little citrus note in there as well, almost like Maybe it's from the mango trees that they have by the distillery, but it's almost like a citrusy, almost like a more of like a tart, like cara orange kind of nose to it. But then I'm getting like almost like a hint of green onion in it as well. More vegetal, like bell pepper too, and even like jalapeno, but not the spiciness of the jalapeno, but more of the green vegetal jalapeno nose to it. It smells really complex and beautiful. There's nothing wrong with this at all so far. So this is my first sip of tequila for the day, so we're going to get my mouth acclimated to 40% alcohol. So bear with me here for a second. All right, we're ready to go. Salud. Coats the mouth beautifully. Wow, I love the flavor profile of this. It's different than a lot of other tequilas that I've had. You get that beautiful cinnamon note up in the front, that's cooked agave cinnamon note, but then you get this nice herbal note that comes through, almost like fresh basil mixed with a nice vegetal note like bell pepper, little hint of jalapeno in there, and even like a green onion. And I'm talking like, if you ever see the thin green onions where you can like take the stalk and chew on them, and you get that kind of nice onion note to it. There's a little bit of that in there as well, but this is tending to be more herbal and vegetal than a lot of the other like Los Altos tequilas and stuff that I normally enjoy, which I like. It's something different, but it's really nice, really well balanced. I'm not picking up any anise or bitterness in it, but instead just wonderful valle agave notes that are coming through. This is delicious. This is really good. And for what, $35 to $40, I think you can find at retail. It's a bargain. It's a great quality Blanco for that price. Wow, it's really good. So let's now move on to the 110 Blanco and see what that one's all about. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the 110 Blanco. And for those of you that know me, know I love a good high proof Blanco. So this is what's really going to make or break it for me on this brand. I do love a really solid high proof Blanco, because with higher proof, you get more flavor, or más sabor, right? All right, so this is the 110 Blanco. Let's take a look at it in the glass. Looking at it in the glass, it coats the glass beautifully. Look at that. You can see the legs starting to form at the top there, coming down the glass. Look at that. So it's got a nice viscous mouthfeel to it, which it should, because even the Blanco was, the 40% was pretty viscous, and it's been diluted. So look at that. Look at the legs and tears forming on that. Looking at the tequila itself, it is crystal clear, beautiful. Let's see what we get on the nose on this. Now keep in mind too, they'll do different batches. They'll do a batch that's just for high proof. They'll do another batch that's going to be the 40%. And with each batch, the flavor profile changes a little bit, because it's really hard, unless you use additives, which they do not do, to make a batch taste exactly the same for every batch. So make sure if you do try one, you mark down the batch number and stuff on it, and keep note, because you can actually try another batch and it will taste differently than the batch that you tried previously. So this particular batch is Lot 23-1B OAHP. Okay. So let's check this puppy out. On the nose, we already saw what it looked like in the glass. On the nose, ooh, yes. Does have that beautiful herbal nose that the 40% had, but a lot more of that sweet cinnamon note coming through in the beginning of the cooked agave with the baking spices. It's getting that stronger, like green onion kind of note on the nose with more vegetalness, which I love in a good Valle Blanco. A hint of citrus in this one as well. Mint, definitely some mint coming through. Some almost like a little bit of mintiness on the nose. It smells really nice. It's still complex, even more so. And a lot more of the flavors are like really present now in this. It smells really good. All right, so let's see what we get on the flavor profile. Wow. Really nice in your face, sweet cinnamon and baking spices right up front. Followed with like a hint of a fruitiness that came right after it, immediately after it, like almost like mango, like a mango fruitiness that came after it. Followed by bell pepper, hint of jalapeno, nice herbalness that comes through. And then like when you breathe after you take the sip, I'm getting some notes that are coming up into my sinuses and stuff too, of like really nice fresh herbs that are coming through, a hint of mintiness in there as well. This is a really nice experience, which I like. When a tequila provides me with something different than what I'm used to, and it's good, it's not bad different, it gets me excited. And this is getting me excited as far as a high proof Blanco goes. Beautiful cinnamon, baking spices up front, mintiness coming through, grassy herbalness, like almost like fresh, like a basil garden. Like my wife grows basil in the back, and I love the smell of basil. So it gets kind of like a basil and almost like thyme too. Herbalness coming through, bell pepper, slight green onion note that comes through on it. It's delicious. It's really good. I really like this high proof Blanco. Really like it. I could definitely sit and enjoy this. It would make fantastic cocktails as well. But I would enjoy this as a sipper. It's a really nice high proof, has a little bit of heat that comes down it, but you expect that from something that's 55% alcohol. But really enjoyable. Great job on the high proof. I really enjoy this. All right, so let's take a look at some of the aged expressions and see what we got going on there. All right, so now we're going to dive into the Reposado. The Reposado there is aged in previously used bourbon barrels. Now, they don't particularly stick to a certain brand. Instead, they use a bunch of different brands' barrels, and then they blend them, and they blend them based on the flavor profiles that they get from them. So they don't really stick to a particular amount of time. Instead, they pick them when they're best. So these can be aged anywhere from 2 months up to a year in previously used bourbon barrels. So we're going to put some of the Reposado in a glass. And let's take a look at this in the glass and see what we got going on here. Now, the object here during this review is to not drink so much that I get hammered before I'm done. But looking at it in the glass, it coats the glass beautifully. You can see the legs and tears forming at the top, dripping down the side of the glass. It's got the same viscousness, if not a little bit more from the barrel than the Blanco. Look at that. Looking at the tequila itself, it's crystal clear with a slate, almost like copper, amber color to it. Looks beautiful. All right, let's see what we get on the nose on this. Beautiful, beautiful cinnamon and baking spices up on the very front of it, which I love. That lets me know too that there's no additives, because if there's additives in this, all you get would be vanilla and caramel notes up front, but instead you get that beautiful cinnamon and baking spices note, followed by a hint of cherry, like a almost like a tart cherry note coming through on it. Ripe fruit, but along the lines of like a more of a tartar fruit, like a apricot. Vanilla is coming through, and a little bit of caramel is coming through as well on the end. It smells really nice for a repo. All right, so let's see what we get on the flavor profile, because with repos, we're looking for a lot more agave punch in it still. We don't want the agave to be covered up by barrel notes in a reposado. You know, we can look a little bit more barrel notes in the añejo and extra añejo. So let's see what we get on this. Coats the mouth beautifully. Really nice cooked agave note up front. That cinnamon and baking spices starts out the parade, the parade of flavor, followed by a little hint of cherry. A nice ripe fruit note coming through on it as well, followed by some vanilla, slight vanilla note with a hint of caramel mixed in, and that vanilla and caramel note kind of right on the tongue on the finish for quite a while. It's got a nice finish to it. Not picking up any tannins or like bitterness coming through. It's really easy to drink. Super delicious. I could drink a lot of this very easily. It would go great with a good stogie as well. I like the reposado. It's really nice. And for those of you that like reposados, especially like a Valle reposado, I think this is going to hit the spot. You guys are going to enjoy this. I would pick this over Fortaleza, honestly. I think I enjoy this more than the Fortaleza repo. It's really good. All right, so that's the reposado. Let's take a look at the añejo next. All right, so far the regular Blanco, the high proof Blanco, and the repo have been good. I enjoyed those. So now we're going to visit with the añejo. Same thing with the añejo as with the repo, in that it's aged in American oak bourbon barrels, previously used bourbon barrels, where they pick them when they get the best flavor profile out of the barrel. So it could range anywhere from a year up to 3 years, depending on how long it's been in the barrel and what flavors they're getting from it. And then they blend them together to get the añejo. This is also, again, 40% alcohol by volume. And let's pour it in the glass and check it out. Now, I do know that there's no additives in any of their aged expressions, because I got to taste their tequila straight from the barrels. And you'll see a video of that here in a little bit. But let's get into the tasting portion of this first and see what this añejo is all about. So looking at it in the glass, it does coat the glass. Yeah, look at that. Beautifully. Tears are just starting to fall from the top. Look at that. So it's giving a nice viscous mouthfeel to it. Look at that. Looking at the tequila itself, it is crystal clear and a nice kind of deep copper, almost deep amber color. It looks really good. All right, so let's see what we get on the nose on this. I think that añejo too is fairly inexpensive. You can find this brand all over. So I didn't do pricing because depending on where you look, you can get different pricing all over the place. They do carry it on ferment and still, and if they don't have any expressions, I'll make sure that they order it if I like it. Ooh, the nose on this is just, I love good añejos. The nose on this smells really good. So I'm getting that nice, beautiful cinnamon and baking spices up front. So there's still agave present, which I love in a good aged expression. And let's see how the barrel influences this. I get a hint of like a deeper cherry on it now. Vanilla, caramel. Almost like a honey-esque kind of note coming through on it as well. Like a sweet honey, ripe fruit. That smells really good. It smells really good. All right, let's see what we get on the flavor profile. Salud. Coats the mouth beautifully. Getting that sweet cinnamon and baking spices note up front. Definitely nice vanilla note coming through and caramel. Hint of ripe fruit coming through as well. A little bit of oak bitterness coming through on it, but it's not that bad at all. Just a little bit on this one. But it's really nice. Sipping añejo. I could really enjoy this with a nice cigar as well, a nice stogie, and I could drink. To be frank, I mean, I could drink the out of this. It's good. It's really good, and for the price you can find this for, it's a great value tequila for an añejo. This is really nice. I'm going to spend some time with this afterwards, I think. So yeah, the añejo is good, really good. I definitely can enjoy that. All right, so at the end of the video, I'm going to show you some of the specials. So make sure you hang around and keep watching, because we're going to tell you about something that I got going on that's going to be great. So, but let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into the last expression, the extra añejo, and see what that one's all about. All right, so let's finish up with the extra añejo now. And this, of course, is also aged in previously used bourbon barrels, different brands, of course, blended 3 years or more. There we go. Nice pop on that. Good seal. They do use artificial corks in this. You don't have to worry about these leaking as much as ones that use real corks or screw caps. All right. And this typically runs for around $129.99. I've seen it as low as $99.99 on special, like at Costco and stuff. For an extra añejo, that's a pretty good price. But let's see what we got here on the as far as extra añejos go. For those of you that like bourbon and whiskey, you'll probably like this one. So looking at it in the glass. Coats the glass beautifully. Look at the legs and tears on that. It's going to have a nice viscous mouthfeel to it. Looking at the tequila itself, it is a deep copper color, which looks beautiful, crystal clear. Let's see what we get on the nose on this one. Oh, nice. Picking up some cinnamon and baking spices from the cooked agave up front. And then a nice oak note that comes through from it. Definitely cherry coming through. Ripe fruit. Vanilla. Some caramel. And even some deep, like dark chocolate notes coming through on it as well on the nose. It smells like a beautiful extra añejo. All right, let's see what we get on the flavor profile. Silky smooth on the mouthfeel. Ugh. Beautiful cooked agave notes up front, still present, which I love. It's not all barrel notes. followed by a nice cherry note that comes after it. Some like apricot, like sweet apricot fruit notes coming afterwards. Some vanilla, caramel, and definitely a hint of dark chocolate in there. I nailed it from the nose. What I picked up on the nose comes through really nicely on the palate. This is a really nice extra añejo for 129 bucks or so. It's a steal. You guys are going to love it. Seriously, this is really good extra añejo. Can't beat it for the price. Bottles like this are typically running now for over $200. So for $129.99 or whatever, it's delicious. I cannot, there's nothing, I have nothing off-putting about this at all. I'll definitely enjoy this with a nice stogie in my man cave. This is a beautiful extra añejo. Nothing wrong with this at all, period. All right, so I promised you guys a special announcement at the end of this video. So here it basically goes. Now, when I was at the distillery with the Montez family, one of the things they said to me was like, you know, we're going to prove to you that our tequilas are great without having to use additives. So we went into the barreling facility and we're tasting tequila straight from the barrels. And I'll post a video here just in a second as part of this video to show you what happened. But basically, I went through and was tasting some añejo barrels, and I came across one that was exceptional. Not only did it have a beautiful cooked agave notes present, where there was lots of agave present, but it also, the barrel presence in it was beautiful. It was really well balanced. It was a beautiful single barrel. And I said to them, I go, I want this as a single barrel. And they looked at me kind of like, well, we don't do single barrels normally. But I said, no, I want this as a single barrel. You guys need to let me get this as a single barrel. I finally got them to agree. So we're going to get a single barrel añejo. We're going to be the first ever to get a single barrel añejo from Don Abraham for the Tequila Barrel and Agave Collective. If you want to join and take part of this, it should be here in July. So use the link in the description below. It is from a Woodford Reserve barrel. It's been aged for 20 months in a Woodford Reserve barrel, and it actually was perfect. It was one of the best single barrel añejos that I've ever had. I would have loved to get it at high proof because I tasted it at 58%, but they're going to dilute it down to 40 because they don't do high proof single barrel offerings right now, but they will do some single barrel offerings in the future, sometime in the future. But the Tequila Barrel and Agave Collective will be the first ever to get a single barrel añejo, single barrel anything from Don Abraham. And I picked the best barrel for this offering. So here, watch the video where you can see me tasting a sample from the barrel.
Most of our batches, we fill the barrels with tequila at 55 ABV, 110 proof.
Look at the legs and tears on that. Beautiful. Colors, nice light copper color. Let's see how it tastes. I was so impressed by the flavor profile of this particular añejo that I said, you got to give me the whole barrel. And so they agreed to sell me the whole entire barrel. So we're doing it as a single barrel offering for the Tequila Barrel and Agave Collective. You guys got to try this añejo. It's absolutely amazing. I have a bottle. They gave me a bottle to bring home. So I will do another tasting video of this later. So make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell next to it. Subscribe, click the subscribe button right there, notification bell next to it, So you get notified when I do the tasting video on this Añejo Woodford Reserve 20 months in a barrel from Don Abraham. You guys are not going to miss this offering. It is absolutely delicious. We were talking about it as a group for hours after we did the tasting. It's going to be phenomenal. So don't miss out on it. If you like the information I shared in this video, then make sure you click the thumbs up and give me a like. There's a lot of information to absorb. It's a long video, so make sure if you need to go back and watch it over again, you watch it over again. If you're new to the channel, bienvenido, welcome. This is what I do. I'm about giving you the facts that you need in order to make informed decisions when you go to the liquor store to find really good quality, great tasting tequilas. So if you like this information and you want to participate in the Tequila Hombre community, we'd love to have you. We'd love to see you commenting on our videos and stuff. So make sure you click the subscribe button right there and the notification bell next to it. And like I always say, life is too short to drink bad tequila. So if you wanted to pick up some Don Abraham tequila, you should do it. It's really good. Salud. Bye, guys.